Shane, how the fuck are you, man? I haven't talked to you in forever.
I am excellent. It's been a really good run. I'm actually I don't want to drop any names or any shit like that, but I'm going to right now. I'm actually in line next Friday to make my first ever appearance on a national podcast. I'm going to be appearing on Risk on their live stage in Atlanta. And if I do a good job in the story, they're actually going to feature me on the podcast. And I found out that Risk actually garners close to 3 million downloads every month. So it could be a little bit of a big deal.
Jesus. 3 million.
Yeah, dude. When I heard that shit, I was like, holy shit, 3 million. Like I'm super stoked if I get like 300 on an episode. Like, whoa, but like 3 million? Holy shit.
God damn, dude. That's fucking amazing. Well, good luck. Good luck.
How are you guys doing, by the way? I don't want to talk about just me. Like, how are you guys doing?
I think now that I figured out I can move Discord over to the laptop and everything will work much more smoothly, I think my tech support issues are smoothed out and I won't be quite as angry anymore. So JD, unfortunately, it sucks that we had to cut him short, but he had some tech issues. We couldn't get him in time. But I'm tired. I'm just so tired.
Well, you've been going. Damn, sorry about that. It was a little hot. You've been going pretty much nonstop since the live stream for The Cure started. Like there was like you were still doing Epic Film Guys and stuff like that, but like you just. Since live stream started, it's like you're reinvigorated. Like I've got to get like every day, everyone has to know every detail of what's going on, and I must deliver this to them. And your dedication to it has been like, this dude is fucking on it, dude. Like fuck cancer, as far as Nick is concerned. Like I will stomp cancer in the fucking face.
That is 100%.
And you can quote me on that.
Correct. That is 100% correct. It's just I mean, if you're going to throw yourself into something, you're going to do it. And I already told Justin that. I was like, next year, fuck no podcast, nothing. We're not doing shit. Like the entire month of May, fuck everything. I am not doing anything the month of May. It's so much easier to, like, restaurant. I was trying to do restaurant. I was trying to do Epic Film Guys. I was trying to do everything else and plan this. It was like, oh my God. It was crazy.
Well, you have to throw yourself into whatever you're doing 100%. But I can say from someone who pre-records from time to time, I will go ahead and say, go ahead and just record some episodes and throw them in the can. And then you can come out and do all you want with fucking the live stream for The Cure. And that way you guys still have your show.
By next year, we'll have like,
to worry about it.
We'll have like 200 episodes banked and like probably as much junk audio floating around. It'll be so easy to just throw something together and put it out. But man, we've got 90s movie brackets. Now, this was actually born out of an idea because you and Kenny, now that I'm older, I fucking love Kenny. You guys are doing something similar to this.
I'm just the guy who sits there with Kenny, basically.
That's basically. You're the one that records him and puts him out to the world. That's
exactly. If I don't edit Kenny, he doesn't exist. But if I edit Kenny, he's out there for the world, for everybody to enjoy. And that's my lot in life, and I'm okay with it.
But you're doing something with brackets on your show. What are you doing right now on your show?
Currently, we are taking 64 of our favorite cartoons, and I capped it at roughly like our 20s. And pretty much from the beginning of our 20s on down, I took 64 of our favorite cartoons ever, put them into a bracket. And this week we released the first round of the bracket where we did 32 matchups where cartoons are going head to head. Like you got Captain Caveman versus the Jetsons and stuff like that. And we're trying to get down to whoever our favorite cartoon is. And next week, actually, our favorite cartoon is going to be decided for me and Kenny, and we're going to put our brackets up on Twitter and let people vote on who they believe has the better bracket and whose winner is better for whoever, like what you feel is the best one. So that's kind of how I felt about the 90s movie bracket we're doing. Is there was no context to it. There was no criteria or anything like that. Whatever you felt was the best movie was the best movie. So that's kind of how I felt about the cartoon bracket, was whatever you felt was the best was the best. We didn't say if the show still holds up or if the show had really good animation or any shit like that. It was like whatever you felt was the best was the best.
I don't know if Justin dropped out on purpose because he said he was getting tired, and I don't know if he just quit out on purpose or what the hell he did. So I gotta find out if he's just or if he's just having issues.
I don't think Justin likes me.
You be yo. Yeah, looks like I'm like,
I don't think Justin likes me as much. I think Justin was like, you know what, Shane's on. I'm just gonna go because he dominates the conversation. That's why I don't get invited on So I Married a Movie Geek anymore. It's because I dominate the conversation and I pick Big Lebowski in sports drafts.
yeah, winners. What the fuck?
Justin, I'm coming for you for the next draft. And I'm going to win.
Right. Well, I don't know because I'm pretty sure he did the bracket. I'm pretty sure he put the bracket together. But I know he did say he was getting tired. But I figured he would. I figured
everybody's getting tired. This is a marathon. Okay, this is a telethon. Okay, you have to keep going. Okay, it's gut check time, Justin. Where are you, sir? Cancer is waiting.
Damn it. Huh. I don't know. Well, sadly, we don't really have time to wait. And if he does get back on, we're just going to have to catch up with him. So let's go ahead and jump into our bracket, Shane. I've got mine pulled up here. And basically, you're going to have to kind of walk me through this because I'm not 100% sure exactly how you guys walk through it on the show. But do you just basically start with the top bracket and just say what you picked and why?
Yeah, that's basically what we did. The first one that I left hand was Misery versus The Big Lebowski. And basically what we did on our bracket was we just went through each one of the matchups and said, why did you pick the one you did? And then moved on because the first round is basically just the merits. Just what did you think was the best about this movie? And then when it gets into the next rounds, it gets a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, true. Very, very
So
true.
for you with Misery versus The Big Lebowski, which way did you go?
Man, you know which way I went. Wait a minute. Hang on. I got sound bites for this shit. I don't even need to say it. Hang on. Man, there's way too many sound drops on my fucking board.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
Man, I know it helps that I haven't seen Misery. But what? Lebowski is such a great film.
Dude, I use drops from The Big Lebowski in my show all the time. It's still to this day. The Big Lebowski is one of the most influential movies, and there's dream sequences in it. There's legitimately like heartfelt scenes in it. Tara Reid was still hot in it. It just gives you when you get done with the movie, you're like, I don't know if I like that or not, but I feel good. That's legit how you feel at the end of Big Lebowski. You're like, it was really good, but I don't know how I feel about it. But I feel
Motherfucker
good.
just wanted his carpet back, man.
That's all he wanted. He wanted to move on. He's not the Big Lebowski. He's the dude. That's all that matters. So for me, definitely Misery versus The Big Lebowski. I went with The Big Lebowski right here. The next matchup we had was Forrest Gump versus Heat. Now, this is interesting because Forrest Gump is a really influential movie. It was basically the first time that Tom Hanks was on his own in a movie and huge in it. Like he had done stuff before this, but this was like the Tom Hanks coming out party where he took on all these different roles in it and made just like this character come to life. And you never go full retard. Forrest Gump, yes, but you never go full retard. And he brought this character who was slow, yes, but not full retard, to life on the screen. Whereas on Heat, you've got that epic speech between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro where he says, I will not hesitate to drop you if it comes down to you and I.
Yeah. This one for me, and thank God Paul from the Countdown is not in here anymore because he would me. And Loisauce isn't in here either because apparently Loisauce also hates some Forrest Gump, but I picked Forrest Gump. I think for me, it's not that I don't love me some Pacino. I've seen Heat. It's been a while, but man, Forrest Gump. I just love Tom Hanks. I think it's just the power of Tom Hanks for me. He elevates what would have otherwise just been a really kind of movie into like a greatness, real true greatness.
For me, the difference is like Forrest Gump is one of those movies that still passes the cable test. And when I say the cable test is now everybody has like some sort of streaming service for their cable. Like very few people actually have like a remote in the cable box and shit like that. But if I'm watching like live TV on my Hulu that I have live TV through and I see Forrest Gump, I'll stop and I'll watch it.
And actually,
in fact, I'll watch every scene of it.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Shane, but I wanted people to participate in the chat. I'm really, really glad that they are. Justin Winters, Misery is excellent. Brooke, picked Misery over Big Lebowski. Jared
Really?
picked Heat over Forrest Gump, and Brooke picked Forrest Gump over Heat. So yeah, you guys keep chiming in with your picks, and we'll rattle you off. And we got to move, Shane, because we got to get through a lot more picks in 45 minutes.
Okay. The next one we have is T2 Judgment Day, the second installment in the Terminator series versus Edward Scissorhands, which was one of the first vehicles for Tim Burton and Johnny Depp to have their love affair. And for me in this one, I'm going to go ahead and take the very first matchup here because I loved the scenery. I loved everything with all the CGI that they did in T2. The story was great. The action was great. The bad guy was great. Fucking seeing Terminator turn into a good guy, and now Arnold Schwarzenegger's on our side and shit like that. That was great. But for me, the power that Johnny Depp gave in the performance that he had in Edward Scissorhands was just fucking amazing. The emotion that he was able to give with his eyes without speaking a word just blew me away. So I chose Edward Scissorhands between T2.
Did not expect that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I 100% went T2 here. It is legitimately one of the best action films that has ever been made. And
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Especially
But
early
the performance of Johnny Depp just blew me away to the point where I couldn't put a typical 90s action film over something that I felt was more of a powerful performance piece.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Definitely fair enough.
It would be like,
wow.
I think that Iron Man is a really good action film, but I don't think it's a better superhero movie than Batman The Dark Knight. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a performance piece. Batman The Dark Knight is something that like transcends being a superhero movie. And that's how I felt about Edward Scissorhands. It went above, like, it doesn't really fit into any genre. It's just one of those movies that's like, holy shit, like this really happened.
All right, so we'll jump down to the next one. The
next bracket, Usual Suspects.
Nope.
The Usual Suspects.
You missed one. 12 Monkeys.
Oh shit, I did. We're not in the next
Day.
one yet. Yeah, 12 Monkeys versus Independence Day. For me, 12 Monkeys is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen. And every time I watch it, I find something new about the movie that I missed the last time. The performance of Brad Pitt still to this day haunts me because he was just so far left of everything that I've seen Brad Pitt do up to that point. But The Usual Suspects is amazing.
Independence Day.
Oh, God damn it, Independence Day. I'm sorry. I jumped down to the next bracket. I'm sitting here looking at my thing going, shit. Independence Day. I'm sorry. Independence Day between 12 Monkeys. Independence Day was this huge action thing, and it brought aliens to a point where we saw the White House blow up. We saw shit blow up. We saw what could possibly happen between us and the aliens, and we were like, holy shit, we might lose. But thank God Bill Paxton was there. Not Bill Paxton, I'm sorry.
Bill Pullman.
What's his name? Bill Pullman. That's what I meant to say. Thank God Bill Pullman was there.
If you need any facts about Independence Day, just ask me.
Okay. I've got those.
As Independence Day's #1 fan, I can tell you everything.
That is very true. He watches it literally on July 4th. He watches it for 24 hours straight.
It's like my Christmas story on Independence Day.
Thank God Lone Star was there to save us and give us the fucking speech and shit like that. We're not just doing it for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money. But seriously, between 12 Monkeys and Independence Day, 12 Monkeys is just weird enough to get it disqualified here to win for me. Independence Day it's one of those popcorn movies that if you see it on around July 4th, if you see it on around December, you don't give a fuck. Independence Day is Independence Day, and you're going to stop and watch it and watch Will Smith punch an alien and shit like that and watch Jeff Goldblum be a nerd.
Or if you're me, you put it on for 24 hours straight on Independence Day and don't talk to anybody that day because you watch it 12 times in that day.
No, nobody does that, dude. Nobody does that. Dan.
I do that.
Nobody does
that. All right, so
Dan.
we got the chat definitely agreeing with us all over the place. Bill, Independence Day. Dan, of course, Independence Day. Scott LeVar, Independence Day. Adam from Odd Dad Out loves Terminator 2, but he still cries during Edward Scissorhands.
Thank God,
Jared
Dan.
says Independence Day.
Not Dan.
Odd Dad Out says Independence Day. So, man, we got to start hauling ass, Shane. Let's go.
Okay, usual Suspect versus The Sixth Sense. For me, Usual Suspects is one of the best crime movies ever. You kept you guessing all the way up until the very fucking end. You had no idea who was Kaiser Soze all the way up until you see Kevin Spacey walk across the screen. Even though Kevin Spacey is a sexual predator, it is still one of the best movies I have ever seen in my life. The Sixth Sense, love M. Night Shyamalan. When you find out that Bruce Willis is a ghost, you're pretty fucking freaked out. And you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. But after you see it for that first time, you have no use for the movie from then forward. So for me, in this situation, Usual Suspects definitely trumps The Sixth Sense.
Gotta be Usual Suspects here. Absolutely has to be Usual Suspects. Without question. I mean, Sixth Sense to me is a film that, like, I think it's an interesting rewatch, like knowing that he's a ghost the whole time.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up things that you missed the first time
rewatch,
through. But yeah, after that, it's like, why watch it again?
Exactly.
But The Usual Suspects, I own in the house and I will watch repeatedly.
Exactly.
The next one up, we have The Green Mile versus Braveheart. Now we have one of the best performances ever, one of the best stories ever told with The Green Mile. In my opinion, one of the best movies ever brought to the screen.
Wow.
The supernatural aspect was just beautiful. It was beautifully done. Nothing felt overdone. Nothing felt ridiculous about it. It felt completely normal during the entire process. When you see the struggle with Tom Hanks when he's having the kidney issues and shit like that, and he gets them healed and shit like that, like, you feel for the characters all the way through The Green Mile. Whereas with the Braveheart story, you're watching like someone overcome these huge odds, this huge nation that's against him. And like, he brings his fight to them. And in the end, he actually loses, but he wins because he inspires his people and shit like that. But between The Green Mile, the beautiful story that was told with a supernatural aspect to it, and the beautiful Michael Clarke Duncan performance, which I just think is beautiful every time I watch this show. Every time I watch the movie The Green Mile, Michael Clarke Duncan just blows me off the screen. But I still got to go Braveheart here. Even though Mel Gibson is an anti-Semite and he's kind of a dickhead as a person, Braveheart is a better movie than The Green Mile.
And I'm right in lockstep with you there as well. I mean, Braveheart for me is probably like top 10 or top 15 of all time. Like, I legitimately love every frame of that movie. It is, I mean, Mel Gibson, for all of his hatred of other peoples that are different from him, is a hell of a fucking filmmaker. You can't take that away from him. And I mean, man, he was
Mad
like,
Max.
Yep,
before they fucked it up and give it to Tom Hardy. And
God damn it,
shit.
God damn it.
Sorry. I'll stop.
He had to get it in there somewhere.
Fuck Mad Max Fury Road right out loud.
God.
Planting my flag.
Damn it.
This is the hill I'm dying on.
90's bracket. Let's talk about that for about 45 minutes.
No.
The next bracket we have up is Casino versus Reservoir Dogs. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I never saw Casino. And I wanted to watch Casino before we did this bracket. And I knew that I wanted to watch Casino. And I know Casino is a good movie. I've heard plenty of my friends who are into mob movies and into gangster movies and shit like that. They're like, dude, Casino is badass. But for me, Reservoir Dogs, when I saw it on screen, it was basically like somebody had taken a theater project with a play and brought it to the big screen and told one of the most amazing stories with like 3 locations total, and spent a very little budget and just brought this magical power to the screen in an hour and a half, and made me be like, holy shit, who the fuck was the bad guy? Who got away? What happened? I pick Reservoir Dogs over Casino all day long.
Yeah, and we just had a nice long discussion about Tarantino films from 11 to midnight with director Brennick here. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. I definitely had to go Reservoir Dogs there as well. And I got to be shouting out a huge shout out, Travel Safely winners. He's going to Hawaii for his anniversary and for his kid's birthday. $50 donation for the live stream for the Cure, putting us up to $1,902. 38% of the way there,
yeah.
Shane. 38 fucking
Keep the money coming in, people.
Day one.
Keep the money coming in. This entertainment is not free, okay? We're not. When this is not free. This is to fight cancer.
You have any idea? Shane's about to appear on a podcast that literally gets millions of downloads. This is going to cost me like millions. Tens of thousands. Easy.
Millions. He hasn't gotten the invoice yet, people.
God.
The next bracket we have up is Jurassic Park which, let's be honest, Jurassic Park blew everybody away when you went to see it in the theater. That was a popcorn movie if I had ever seen a popcorn movie. Versus a movie that, for me, I'm not going to color anybody else's opinion about it. I'll just go ahead and say it's Fight Club. Now that I've said it's Fight Club,
Jurassic Park.
For me, Fight Club changed the landscape of the way I looked at the world. Fight Club was one of those movies that after I watched it, I was like, holy shit, dude. Maybe everything is kind of fucked up. So for me, between Jurassic Park, the ultimate popcorn movie that I've ever seen in my life, a movie that I took a couple of girls to on dates, I'm going to go Fight Club here.
You fucking player. Man, I will actually disagree with you here. I'm going Jurassic Park because as much as I love Fight Club, I love Fight Club. I do. I really, really do. But to me, I go to the movies and I love movies because of those movie moments, those moments where you will never forget about them in the cinema. And to me, the moment where, Grant first sees a dinosaur and that John Williams score swells up, you hear that Jurassic Park theme. Dude,
I'm not disagreeing whatsoever.
That is the only reason I picked Jurassic Park over Fight Club.
When Brad Pitt looks at Ed Norton and says, "Hit me." What do you mean? How much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight?
As hard as you can.
Come on. How much can you know about yourself if you've never been in a fight? Hit me.
It's so that is one of those decisions, and I've got a few more of those coming up where it is razor thin. Like it's
fucking Fight Club all day.
Man,
right here.
I gotta take the dinosaurs.
No, this is so easy. It's Jurassic Park to me.
I gotta take
fuck
the dinosaurs.
That, dude. Dude, the dinosaurs can fuck off as far as I'm concerned.
We've spent
when it comes to Fight Club,
spent like literally 20 minutes on one side of one level of this bracket.
All right, we're gonna go to the next one really
quick. Moving, Shane.
Groundhog Day. Bill Murray, beautiful movie. He chases the girl. He's trying to find a way to get to her. Versus Tarantino's crown jewel, Pulp Fiction. I don't even have to talk about Pulp Fiction. It's Pulp Fiction here for me.
Pulp Fiction.
Absolutely Pulp Fiction.
Groundhog Day is a great movie. Let's not act like it's not.
I'm not gonna get into this.
Shut up,
dude. For a 90's comedy, it's a great movie. Did I say it's fucking soap? Did I say it's fucking great? No, it's just a good 90's comedy. So we're definitely in agreement. It's Pulp Fiction here.
Oh yes, it is.
100%.
How's the chat feeling right now?
Chat. Jurassic Park versus Fight Club was a tough one for everybody. A lot of people took Reservoir Dogs. Jared picked Fight Club. Scott LeVar said fuck Fight Club and took Jurassic Park, and Brooke took
fuck
Fight
Scott
Club.
LeVar.
Scott LeVar saying Groundhog Day. God damn you, Scott LeVar.
Dude,
Dan,
fuck
be quiet.
You, Scott LeVar.
You're not helping.
Scott LeVar, you and I are in a feud, okay? You and I have beef. Okay,
Adam
so Pulp Fiction definitely wins out over Groundhog Day.
Jurassic Park is epic, and that was a dicey one.
I'm telling you, that was one of the hardest ones in the bracket.
That is.
That's
especially because that one was first round. That's why that one
exactly.
was tough.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And again, I've randomized all this shit when I put it together. I put it through the randomizer 10 times and said, whatever comes out is whatever comes out. The next one we have is American History X versus Batman Returns. Batman Returns, the second installment with the Tim Burton Batman. You still had Michael Keaton. It was still great. You had Danny DeVito as the Penguin. You had Michelle Pfeiffer as the Catwoman. It was a great movie. I loved what I saw. It was a little kooky for me. American History X looks at racism through the prism of a guy who basically falls into the mindset of a racist and allows himself to get swept up in this shit. Between the two movies, Batman was really good, but I got to go American History X.
Oh, 100%.
Just a way better movie.
Not
overall.
even a question. Not even a question to me. American History X is so powerful, so visceral.
Exactly.
Batman Returns is a good movie. I love it, but man, not even close.
Batman Returns is a good popcorn movie, but American History X, if you're looking at the two of them, that's on the level of something like a Braveheart, like something that just tells a story that you remember to this day. The next round, we're going to jump from this really quick. American Beauty versus The Crow. American Beauty, Kevin Spacey gives one of the best performances I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, you follow this guy's performance all the way through, and you are rooting for him all the way through this, all the way up until the end. Spoiler alert, he gets shot at the end, and you are just following this guy's performance the entire way through, and you feel him all the way through it. As somebody who's in my 40s, I watch that movie and I go, God damn it, I just want to quit my job and work at a fast food restaurant and be like, man, fuck everybody else. but I can't. The Crow follows this guy who loses everything, who gets fucking shot and dies in front of his fiance. Everybody, like, everything is fucking tragic in the beginning, and he takes out everybody who wrongs him. For me, between the two movies, gonna be controversial. I'm going The Crow.
I am. It is statistically impossible for me to pick against American Beauty. It is. I'm going to bury the lead here just a little bit. It is my second favorite film of all time. Definitely American Beauty by 1,000 miles. I like The Crow. I really, really do. But man, American Beauty is a fucking masterpiece.
I loved American Beauty, but for me, The Crow just spoke to me. I actually have in my basement right now, my man pit, I have a poster of The Crow on my wall. I actually have 3 posters. I have True Romance, The Crow, and Fight Club in my basement right now, and The Dark Knight. And between those two, like the Crow just speaks to me in a very special way. And I love American Beauty, but just the power for me from The Crow was a lot more than what American Beauty gave me. So that's why I went that way. I know it's going to be unpopular in the chat. I know there's a lot of people out there that are like,
believe it or
fuck
not,
this guy and his Crow.
Nope. Believe it or not, Brooke, Jared, Adam, Crow. And I only got Scott LeVar backing me up on American Beauty. The Crow takes it on that one. I think the chance got your back there.
Good Will Hunting versus Leon the Professional. Another very difficult portion of the bracket.
This was a really fucking hard one. I hated you for this one most of all.
Good Will Hunting, I swear to God, when I saw this one come up, I was like, God damn it. You got all those great performances in Leon. You got all those great performances. You got the beautiful script for fucking Good Will Hunting. For me, I had to go Good Will Hunting here. I wanted to go Leon. I really did, because I love the action. I love guns. I love all the fucking intrigue and shit like that. But Good Will Hunting was just a better script. It was a better performance, and it was just a better movie overall for me.
Agreed. 100%. I love Good Will Hunting. And I mean, Robin Williams, baby. That's all you got to say. Robin motherfucking Williams.
And you knew it was going to be serious because he had a beard. The next portion of our bracket is Fargo versus Saving Private Ryan. Fargo is a great
the 7th
story.
best war movie of all time.
Fargo, according to Wayne.
Fucking Wayne.
So Fargo is a great story. Fargo's great performances in Fargo. Saving Private Ryan is Saving fucking Private Ryan. Again, it's Tom Hanks. It's everybody in the movie is just amazing. We don't even really have to dwell on it. It's fucking Saving Private Ryan. For me,
yeah.
If you have a different opinion, dude, you can fuck off as far as I'm concerned.
Not even close, man. And I love Fargo. Frances McDormand, dude. Come on, she's a fucking treasure, man. But you don't touch Saving Private Ryan.
No. Like, we're gonna get into some deeper rounds before Saving Private Ryan has any issues. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
So the next one we have is Goodfellas, one of the premier mob movies of all times. One of the best. Like, Joe Pesci's performance in Goodfellas, still to this day. Do I amuse you? Am I a fucking clown to you? I mean, that shit still resonates to this day.
I'll play this just for Brooke in the chat. Just for Brooke in the chat.
What's up, my Nubian friend?
Just hashtag love Wayne. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This was one of the most difficult brackets as well, because it's going up against The Shawshank Redemption, which, again, a Stephen King story, beautiful, told one of the best stories ever. Tim Robbins is amazing. Morgan Freeman is amazing. I mean, everybody in the movie just gives one of the best performances you've ever seen in your life. Goodfellas, one of the most amazing mob movies ever conceived, ever. I had to go Shawshank.
You're right. You're exactly right. This was another really, really tough one, but I also went Shawshank. It's Shawshank, man. At the end of the day, Goodfellas is great, but Shawshank is Shawshank.
When he stands up out of the sewer and somehow he had gone 100 yards in complete shit and stands up and he's clean, but he's standing up in the rain and he's got his arms out and shit like that. Like, I stand that way outside sometimes just to fucking, like, tell myself it's going to be a good day. Like, I put my arms out and shit like that. I'm like a fucking superhero. Like, I'm fucking Andy Dufresne, dude. I'm out. So Shawshank Redemption definitely here.
Hell
yes. The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis, Chris Tucker, Mila Jovovich, one of the quintessential 90s movies of all times versus The Silence of the Lambs. Who can forget Anthony Hopkins as fucking Hannibal Lecter? I don't really want to get into it. I love Fifth Element. The visuals are beautiful. The performances are beautiful. Bruce Willis was great. He just did his Bruce Willis thing. It's Silence of the Lambs for me. Fuck off if you have a different opinion as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely agree with you there as well. I mean,
jumping into the...
You just
go
can't.
ahead.
No, you just can't. I mean,
No,
it's
you can't-
Anthony
you
Hopkins,
can't.
man.
I mean,
You just can't.
How does the chat feel about this? Let's hear from them real quick. I know we
Chat
just
is
dropped that one.
finishing
Really
up on the
quick.
last round. Everybody went Shawshank, by the way.
Of course.
And everybody
If you
also
go-
went
if you go
Get the
Saving
fuck
Private
outta here,
Ryan.
Bill.
Of course they did Saving Private Ryan.
No
The next
surprises
one we
there.
have The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino playing Lucifer versus The Matrix with Keanu Reeves being the one.
So Keanu versus Keanu, baby.
Keanu Reeves as basically the Antichrist. I'm sorry, as the son of the devil who would give birth to the Antichrist versus him being Jesus Christ, which is what he was in The Matrix.
There's no way that The Matrix doesn't win here, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Now, let me qualify this with saying that I believe Al Pacino's performance as Lucifer is, for me, it definitely was eye-opening for a different perspective on the devil. And I grew up in the church and shit like that, and I always had like that perspective of the church and the way that the devil and God had this dynamic that they had and stuff like that. And when I saw this movie, it made me go, who are you carrying all those bricks around for? He's an absentee landlord. So it gave me a different perspective. But at the end of the day, The Matrix changed the way movies were made in the 90s. So suddenly bullet time was in every video game. Suddenly every movie wanted to have bullet time. And The Matrix fucking, holy shit, they went slow motion. So The Matrix definitely wins here.
Oh, yeah. And that brings us back around. But that's the end of... well, the rest of the round should go pretty quickly because we've already talked about what the movie is. So now we're just going to try to justify picking it over the other one.
Well, now it's going to get a little bit different because my picks might differ from your picks. I don't remember where your picks were versus mine. Yep. So for me, the next one is The Big Lebowski versus Forrest Gump. And this is difficult because you have one of the most iconic comedies of all fucking times versus one of the most iconic movies of all times.
Son.
And at the end of the day, because it's one of the most iconic movies of all time, I had to go Forrest Gump here. Tom Hanks is just Tom Hanks.
Wow.
I did.
Shocking.
I love The Big Lebowski. But
we know you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was number one in my sports draft pick because goddamn it, it's a good bowling movie.
All time.
Of all times. I had to pick it. Somebody was gonna pick it before me.
Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the role?
Number one.
No.
So anyway, between The Big Lebowski and Forrest Gump, if I'm watching television and the two of them are on, chances are I'm going to stop on Forrest Gump before I'm going to stop on Big Lebowski. That's just my personal opinion.
I went Lebowski only because it's probably, for me, the John Goodman fan in me, that he's so magnetic as Walter Sobchak in that. And wait a minute, where is it?
Over the line.
Fuck up, Danny.
Sorry.
But yeah, I went.
So you went Big Lebowski here.
Yes.
The next one for me is Edward Scissorhands, and I know for you it's T2. For me, it's Edward Scissorhands versus Independence Day. Edward Scissorhands, again, one of the beautiful performances by Johnny Depp that I've ever seen in my entire life versus the best popcorn movie that I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Independence Day is still to this day one of the best action movies that I've ever seen in my life, but I'm going to go a little controversial here and go Edward Scissorhands over Independence Day.
I hate
you. See, for me, I'm looking at 90s action versus 90s action, so I don't have that dramatic element in there, really. And for me, I mean, I love Independence Day. I'm sorry, Dan, I should mute him now to prevent my eardrums from being blown. But Terminator, again, Terminator 2 is just one of the best action movies of all time. And, I mean, it's just, to me, it comes down to, who shoots the better action set piece. Is it James Cameron or is it Roland Emmerich? Definitely Cameron. And, I mean, I don't know.
I can definitely I can understand your opinion there. And again, this was very difficult. T2 in the very first round for me losing was hard because it was a great movie. The visuals were perfect. The story was great. I mean, it was just a great movie. But at the same time,
Dan just shakes his head disapprovingly the entire time.
Well, I mean, what's he going to do? The next round for me is Usual Suspects. Again, one of the best like suspenseful crime drama movies and shit like that versus Braveheart, where you have someone who's liberating an entire country from the rule of England and shit like that. And between Usual Suspects and Braveheart, I'm going to go the anti-Semite over Kaiser Soze. I'm going to go Braveheart over Usual Suspects here.
I agree. Actually, 100%. Once again, I love Braveheart. It's probably top 10 or top 15 of all time for me. The score, especially, the score is just mind-blowing. And I like I said, Gibson has got talent behind the camera. And
oh, he does.
I love The Usual Suspects. It's a great fucking movie. But, man, Braveheart, I think, just edges it, I think, a little bit more. Probably because I'm so invested in the music in that film. I love the music in that film so much.
Well, it's one of those movies that makes you feel totally from top to bottom. It makes you feel the music. It makes you feel the performances. It makes you feel everything about it, the action. That's a movie that carries you all the way through. Usual Suspects is a great movie. It's one of those great movies you can watch from front to back, and you'll stop on cable and watch it. But if Braveheart's on, you'll watch it before you'll watch Usual Suspects. Oh, yeah. So it's got to be Braveheart for me here. Yeah. Next round, hard for me, Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's first ever movie versus Fight Club.
So I'm interested to see what you did here because you didn't go with Jurassic Park. So I'm really interested to see what you do here.
And for me, it's got to be Fight Club. Again, Fight Club made me look at the way I viewed the world, not just the way I viewed movies and shit like that and performances and stuff like that. But like when I got to the end of Fight Club, I reevaluated the way I thought about things. Like maybe I'm not my job. Maybe I'm not my khakis. Maybe I'm just like everybody else and we need to fucking figure out a better way to do this shit. Whereas Reservoir Dogs was a great movie. And again, like I said, it looked like a play brought to life that just got wildly out of control and became a great story. But for me, Fight Club was a better movie. But for you, I know it's Reservoir Dogs versus Jurassic Park.
I'm carrying like pretty much the same bracket through for it though. Jurassic Park definitely carrying through on that one for me. I love Reservoir Dogs.
Over Reservoir Dogs.
What's that?
Over Reservoir Dogs, really.
Over Reservoir Dogs. I mean, again, for me, and I mean, I talked about movie moments when I talked about Jurassic Park before. I know Reservoir Dogs. We talked about it before in the Tarantino thing. Michael Madsen, Mr. Blonde, cutting the ear off. The whole Madonna like a virgin. Dick, 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 dick. How many dicks is that? A lot. Like, man, it's a great movie. I love Tarantino, but man, the magic of Jurassic Park for me is just captivating. I have to pick Jurassic Park there.
I can't believe that, dude.
I know.
Really can't. I mean, but I get it. I mean, again, when I went T2, it's one of the, or when I went over T2 and shit like that, you're like, holy shit. The next one we have for me, and I know we're exactly the same here, is Pulp Fiction versus American History X. And for me, this is very difficult. This is two movies where
this one was tough.
Performances are great. The performances are great. The music is great. The scenery is great. The cinematography is great. Everything is fucking great. But for me, if I'm choosing the best movie, what I'm going to watch between the two, I choose to watch Pulp Fiction because even though there's some really uncomfortable moments in there, Pulp Fiction is more of a fun movie than American History X is. If I'm watching American History X, chances are you're not going to feel great at the end of American History X. I mean, when his brother dies at the end, spoiler alert, it's one of the worst moments that you've ever seen. And if you come into the end of it, you're like, dude, everything's going to be fine. And no matter when you join that movie, you always feel like everything's going to be fine and his brother dies. So for me, it's got to be Pulp Fiction.
100% agreed. I love American History X, but man, I mean, Pulp Fiction is among the upper echelon, I should say, of Tarantino. It really is as good as it purports to be, and it's infinitely rewatchable because of the plethora of characters, the way that he plays around with the time frames and everything. And I just gotta go Pulp.
So for me, I know what my next bracket is, but I want to get into yours first. American Beauty versus Good Will Hunting.
This was the toughest pick of the second round for me, I think. Yeah, definitely the toughest pick of the second round for me. Maybe the entire thing, because I love Good Will Hunting. Again, Robin Williams, the immortal Robin Williams. Genius.
He had a beard.
Had a beard.
He had a beard.
Had a beard. Amazing movie. I love it. I've watched it probably 1,000,000 times. But again, American Beauty is my second favorite film of all time. It's a masterpiece.
Beauty here.
And
American Beauty here.
I love it so much. I literally, every single aspect of that film, literally every single aspect of it is perfect to me. I absolutely love it. It's why I love Sam Mendes as a director. It's why, even though he loves to touch little boys and whatever else he does, I loved Kevin Spacey, until he got all rapey.
I feel like Kevin Spacey like I do about Ray Charles. I love his music. I love him as a performer. I choose to just ignore the other stuff about the womanizer and the heroin addict and all that shit. I choose to just focus on the fact that I loved his music.
Yep.
So I feel the same way about Kevin Spacey. I refuse to not like American Beauty because it's just such a beautiful performance piece. For me in this situation, it's The Crow versus Good Will Hunting. And again, I know a lot of people are going to be like, holy fuck, are you dead serious? The Crow, for me, again, one of the most powerful pieces, the last thing that we ever got to see from Brandon Lee. And I loved his performance. I loved the power that brought across the screen for me. And Good Will Hunting, a beautiful piece. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck owe their life to Good Will Hunting, but I got to go The Crow here between the two of them. And
I can see that pick. Given that choice, I could see your pick.
Yeah, I mean, again, The Crow affected me in a way that like still sticks with me to this day. There's certain beats in that movie where I'm like, God damn it, dude, I fucking feel like what he's going through here. For both of us, the next matchup is definitely the same and one of the most difficult in the entire fucking bracket: Saving Private Ryan versus The Shawshank Redemption. And I want to find out what the chat thinks about this one as well, because this is one of my most difficult matchups throughout the entire process. I sat at my desk at work through lunch and sat there for like 10 minutes going, are you dead serious? I have to choose between these two movies? I thought this would be like Final Four or maybe like championship round or some shit like that. What did you go?
Saving Private Ryan.
You went Saving Private Ryan. I went with The Shawshank Redemption.
Really?
I went with story over action. I chose the story. I chose the triumph that Andy Dufresne had at the end of the movie over the fucking action, fucking getting Matt Damon out and shit like that. Love Saving Private Ryan. Think it's a beautiful movie, but I just couldn't go with it over the story that we had with fucking The Shawshank Redemption. The next one that we had was The Silence of the Lambs versus The Matrix. For me, Bullet Time definitely wins out over the Hannibal Lecter character.
Yeah,
Matrix is still, I quote Matrix still to this day, it's still one of the most powerful movies that I've ever watched. As far as changing the way movies were done, it definitely added a whole new aspect to the way that they shoot movies. It's just amazing.
Yep, definitely no disagreement here.
Okay, so we're going to move on. We're now in the semifinal round.
Your semifinal first bracket is completely different from mine. It's exactly the opposite, I think.
Okay.
You got Gump and Edward.
I do. I have Forrest Gump versus Edward Scissorhands here, and I honestly have to. I sat down for a long time and thought about this one because, again, like I keep on talking about the performance of Johnny Depp, and it every time I talk about it, I feel very connected to that. And when I watched it, I did not want to like this movie. Every time I saw the previews for it, I thought it was stupid. Every time I saw anything about it, anytime my friends talked about it, I was like, that's a stupid fucking movie. And now at this point, it's like, you know what? I love Edward Scissorhands, but Forrest Gump is the one. So between these two, I definitely went Forrest Gump here.
Yeah, and for me, I had Lebowski and T2 here. And for me, this is where Lebowski runs out of gas because for me, I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. One of the best action films ever made. And for me, it's just so entertaining. It's such a great film. I got to go T2. I got to keep riding T2 up into the Final Four. Yeah.
So for the very next one for me, and I think we're the same here. No, actually, I think we
You got Fight
diverged
Club
here because you got Jurassic Park.
Yep.
For me, it's Braveheart versus Fight Club, and again, love Braveheart, love the music, love the performances, the cinematography, everything is beautiful. Fight Club made me question my view of the entire world. I am going Fight Club. Tyler Durden beats out over William Wallace for me in this round. For you, does William Wallace triumph over Dinosaurs?
He most definitely does.
Really? So Braveheart makes it through here.
Yeah, for me, I mean, again, this is where, like, once I get to the Hateful Eight round here, as you called it.
Yes.
Once
Yes,
I get
did.
to this round here, this is where some of those early round picks that were strong enough then run out of steam. They're just not enough to make it against some of these other films that are just literally lifelong favorites of mine. And while I love Jurassic Park, I saw it in theaters when I was young. It's a great movie. I absolutely love it, but it does not hold a candle to Braveheart. Braveheart is legitimately a fucking masterclass. I love it.
Oh, I absolutely love Braveheart, and it's a beautiful movie. But again, it's Tyler Durden. It changed my life, dude. It fucking. And again, the criteria is whatever is your favorite. So I 100% agree with you, but for me, it's different.
You know how
The
hard.
next one,
Just as an aside, really quick, you know how hard it is, like, especially when you get to like the top 8 round. And I know you probably feel this way too about
Absolutely.
films like T2 or whatever else, that they're gone already, and you're like,
oh, absolutely.
oh man,
When you
I
look
wish,
at the fact
like,
that Big
it's
Lebowski is
crazy.
gone, when I
Yeah.
look at the fact that Big Lebowski is not in the fucking Final Four, I'm like, what the fuck happened here? How did I
Yeah.
go wrong? But when you look at the movies, it's like, I chose what I thought was best. For me, the next round is Pulp Fiction versus The Crow. Pulp Fiction, again, the crowning jewel by Tarantino, the #1 movie, in my opinion, that he ever put together, the timeline fucking with that he did, versus The Crow, a movie that I honestly feel on a cellular level every time I watch it. I got to go Pulp Fiction. All day long, absolutely. It's just one of the most beautiful movies that I've ever seen watched.
And for me, American Beauty is my second favorite movie of all time.
You went American Beauty over Pulp Fiction.
I cannot express to you in words how much I love American Beauty. I love it. I love Pulp Fiction, and it's so hard for me to knock it out of here. But
you know
it's
how I know
American
you're
Beauty.
gay?
It's American Beauty all day here, because it's a fucking
You know how-
masterpiece, Shane.
You know how I know you're gay? You chose American Beauty over Pulp Fiction, asshole. For me, the next round, for you and I, it's different because you went superhero or super action military movie versus
The seventh
super
best war movie of all time, yes.
Technological. The 7th best, definitely. Thank you, Wayne. For me, I went Shawshank Redemption versus The Matrix here, and I chose the Jesus movie versus one of the best stories that I think Stephen King has ever told in his entire life. And for me, I had to go with story over action, and I went with the Shawshank Redemption over The Matrix here. I love Neo. I love Bullet Time. I love Morpheus. I love the scene with the kid who bends the spoon, but Shawshank Redemption, when he stands up out of the sewer and he's completely clean and he stands up and puts his arms out and fucking the rain is falling down and shit like that, dude, I feel triumphant for him in the movie. And I feel like I can go to work the next day and feel good about my life. Whereas The Matrix just makes me feel like, man, maybe everything is a dream. So I went with the Shawshank Redemption here.
And you know what? If I had your two choices there, just blind, not anything picked before it or anything, if I had your choices there, I'm picking Shawshank over The Matrix too, which is why I'm definitely going to pick Saving Private Ryan over The Matrix, because when you compare those two movies, it isn't even close.
Absolutely. It's just you have to get the Matrix is a great movie, but it's not the best movie of all times. And we're getting down to what did you think the best movie of the 90s was of all times at this point? For me, the next round comes down to Forrest Gump. He Was Running versus Fight Club. And for me at this point, it's really difficult because you got the amazing story of Forrest Gump. You got the amazing power of that story versus a guy who basically says the entire world is fucked up and your entire life is kind of meaningless unless you adopt my way of thinking. And for me, I said, you know what? Maybe my life is meaningless, and I'm going Fight Club over Forrest Gump at this point.
Wow.
For you, it's T2 at this point versus what was it?
Versus Braveheart. And for me, I think that Dastardly Scotsman, I think he trumps The Terminator. I gotta go
Really?
Braveheart here again.
I could definitely see going Braveheart here. Between Terminator and Braveheart, I think Braveheart is a way better movie overall.
Oh, I agree.
And
I agree 100%.
it's again, you're looking at a great movie, but you're not looking at one of the best movies times.
Oh,
For
yeah.
me, the next round is kind of difficult because it's the Pulp Fiction versus Crow. And
So you have Pulp Fiction versus.
oh no! I'm sorry. I got
What'd you take there?
yes.
Oh, Shawshank. So Pulp Fiction versus Shawshank, right?
Pulp Fiction versus Shawshank. I'm sorry,
Ooh,
I
yeah.
didn't scroll over far enough. I was getting messages from the chat room, and I was what happened here? I didn't scroll far enough over. Pulp Fiction versus Shawshank Redemption. For me, Pulp Fiction is one of my best favorite movies of all times. It's basically 1A and 1B when I look at one of the other movies that I'm really, really a fan of. And Pulp Fiction just speaks to me on a very deep level every time I watch it. And Shawshank Redemption is a great movie. It's a great story. But if Pulp Fiction is on and Shawshank is on, I'm watching Pulp Fiction all day. So here I'm going Pulp Fiction over Shawshank.
Yeah, and again, given your choices there, I'd take Pulp Fiction over Shawshank. But for me, now we're talking about like top 10 of all time versus top 10 of all time for me. Like we're getting into territory where I hate picking anything over anything else. But again, American Beauty is my second favorite film of all time.
favorite film of all times.
I
So I
gotta
think we
pick
already
it
know who your winner is here.
over Saving Private Ryan. I really, really have to. I told you I might be burying the lead just a little bit on that in the first round.
Given your choices, though, there, I would go American Beauty over Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan, a great movie, but American Beauty gives you a feeling when you get done with it,
Oh yeah,
whereas American Beauty does not.
Yeah.
For me, my championship round comes down to Fight Club and Tyler Durden's dystopian view of the entire world versus Tarantino's view of the way movies should be made, where you can play with the timeline and you can kill characters off and then you can have them come back later and all that shit. And between these two movies, it's basically, for me, it's 1A and 1B. Every time these two movies are on, I always have to flip a coin as to which one I'm going to watch.
yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, Fight Club always wins. So for me, for the 90s, all the way through the 90s, every movie that I saw through the 90s, when I went to the movie theater and I saw the nerve endings in the brain and shit like that going in the intro and shit like that, and I heard about Tyler Durden's cave, and I heard about him sliding, and I heard about him stealing fat and making soap and shit like that. Fight Club is, to me, the best movie from the entire 90s. Changed the way I looked at the world. Fight Club, for me, wins hands down.
All right, and championship round for me. Now, I will say this with the caveat that Braveheart is a film. It destroys me every time I watch it. Like the performance that Mel Gibson gives in this film is beyond amazing. Like when Robert De Bruce fucking betrays him, and like when he takes that fucking helmet off, like the look in his eyes, dude.
How gutted are you every time Robert Bruce is
every time, and it doesn't
guys.
matter how many times I've seen that movie, I still feel it. That's the power of that film. But for me, and I know I've said it all through the thing, so we know what my winner here is, but
second favorite film of all time.
it is just that search for the self. And I love films like this where it is a just deep soul-searching search for the self. I have to go with American Beauty. As you said it a lot earlier. One of the best performances you've ever seen from Kevin Spacey in this film. I absolutely agree. Surrounded by a cast that is as brilliant as he is. Annette Bening is amazing in that film. Thora Birch, amazing.
The bag scene, like still to this day, like the bag scene speaks to you when you watch it. Like
I love Wes Bentley in this movie.
No matter how you feel about the way the movie is made, that bag scene just like makes you pause for a second and say, maybe I should look at the world around me for a second. So given your choices here between Braveheart and American Beauty, I have to agree. I love Braveheart, but it's more of going to a genre-specific film where it's like a war film or a history film, whereas American Beauty is one of those that transcends genre. It's just a great movie. Kind of how I feel about Fight Club is it's not really an action film. It's not really a a period piece or any of that shit. It's just a film, and it's something that 50 years from now people will watch and go, that guy was ahead of his time. Same thing with American Beauty. 50 years from now people will watch that film and go, they were ahead of their time. They knew what they were doing. They wanted to accomplish something, and they did. So given your choices, I 100% agree with you. How does the chat feel about what we're saying here?
Let's see. Jared, Braveheart. Jared, Pulp Fiction. Shawshank and Saving Private Ryan. Brooke, Forrest Gump. Forrest all the way. Pulp Fiction, Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
Pulp motherfucking Fiction. Freedom! And Pulp Fiction and Braveheart. So, Shane, it's 1:30, my friend, which means we've run out of time. So
On the nose.
On the fucking nose. That's good. That is good, my friend.
Absolutely.
So, number one, good luck to you. Good luck to you,
Thank you,
because
sir.
that is an amazing opportunity, and I hope that it fucking slays, because you and Kenny do an amazing, hilarious show. You guys have always been one of my favorite listens, and it's mostly because Kenny is just the world's biggest troll, and I love him. But I love you too. I don't listen
asshole.
just for Kenny. I
And
promise
we
you I
love
know.
him. No,
But
it's
tell
fine, you
our
do.
audience
It's fine.
where they can find Now That I'm Older, and then we're going to bring in Dina Marie from Twisted Philly to tell us some scary stories.
Dina Marie is awesome, by the way. You guys should definitely stick around for her. Don't just stick around for
Love
me,
her.
because I know I'm awesome. But you can find Now That I'm Older pretty much everywhere that you can find podcasts. Go to Now That I'm Older. You can also find us at nowthatimolder.com, Facebook, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. We're also on Gmail, Twitter, and some other place.
Grindr?
But it's at Grindr. Yes, we're at Grindr as well, but it's at NTIO Pod. Just look up Young Males Bears and look up Kenny, and you'll find him on Grindr. And he will definitely drop his gut on you. It's just one of those things that he does. So yeah, definitely find us online anywhere you want to. We are out every Thursday, and if you find the podcast, you're going to find amazing intro stories, because I can just say they're amazing because I do them. But you're also going to find me and Kenny fucking around and talking about pretty much everything in the world that's going on. And if you want to interact with us, just get in touch with us, and we will definitely talk back to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on the live stream for The Cure, Shane. And thank you for the bracket idea. That was a fucking blast.
No problem, man. Thank you very much. And fuck cancer.
Fuck cancer. Peace, brother.
Fuck swords.
Later, man.
Cancer.